Day 5, checklist for muscle building. Let's get straight into it. What I've tried to do here is pull in a list of 5 things, plus a few bonuses, yes, for you, to help you to get things in order and hopefully help you to prioritize what's going on in your life and your training and how to structure your training to make it as simple and time effective as possible so you're able to build muscle and continue to smash your runs and be more resilient to injury and all the other things that come along with having a good amount of working muscle mass. Cool. Let's get straight into it. My system for teaching what a good system has. Factors for building muscle development. So checklist to build a muscle. 5 steps to the gains. GPS, we'll get into that, what that is. Goals, plan, system. Phasing to your training, so why you want to think about things in phases and in cycles. Measuring, why that's important. Focusing on muscle and strength training and how to focus. Threshold of development, absolutely vital if you want to see progress and you want to see muscle development. And some bonus tips for you. Cool, let's go. Currently wasting time. A significant amount of time. And this is what I find, and this is, I think, why lots of people don't make progress, either with their running or with their fitness in general, because they're not able to be effective and they're not on the right path and they don't have a goal that's aligned with a plan that's got the system. So that's why I put this together and that's why I'm delivering it today. GPS. Now, you might have heard me talk about this if you follow me on social media. It's a big factor for me. So, go back a step. Give away the secrets. So what are we talking about here? We need to have some sort of structure around the way that we think to give us clarity to actually take action. Yep, that is what is required. And this is a very simple way to do that. Goal. So what is a goal? A goal can be absolutely anything. The 2 factors that I think make a goal successful, and I'm not getting into all the smart stuff or the fast, I think is another one. It's too complicated, too many things to think about. All I want you to think about is what is the goal that you want? Is it meaningful? And is it measurable? Okay, and over what sort of time frame you're going to think about. Top tip, you kind of want to break it into 3 slices. You want to have your goal for short-term goal, 3 to 6 months, and then your longer-term goal. So that's 2 slices, sorry. That's the goal. P is for plan. So a plan that is aligned against the actual goal. And I see so much in the fitness space and so many comments of guys like you, yourself maybe, that you feed back to me and you say, oh yeah, my goal is to shift a bit of belly fat. That's not a goal, okay? It's not measurable. You need to be really specific. Yeah, we need to hold a mirror up to the bullshit that's going on in your head and then get a real goal. Then we get into the plan and I find that they don't have a plan that's aligned with the goal. AKA, you're running to lose fat. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Okay, for lots of different reasons. Yeah, your endurance engine is going to prohibit you largely from losing fat. Okay, yes, you're burning calories, but all the other factors, hormones, all the things that your body does to talk to itself is going to inhibit you from actually making progress. Okay, which is why I think muscle building is so important on your fat loss journey. System. So what is a system? So a system really is something that's going to help you to stick to the plan. Okay, so you've got your goal at the top, where you want to get to. The plan, yeah, that is aligned. So that's the path you're going to follow. The mechanism that's going to get you to the goal. Okay, it's the steps that you're going to take. The system is the lower level actions and tactics on a daily basis that will keep you sticky to the plan. Sticking to the plan, probably should say. Yeah, and keep you honest. You need all 3, okay? And once you've got the goal, that's not what you need to focus on. What you need to focus on is the low-level systems that you're going to do daily actions in the form of a system that's going to help you move forward against your plan, aligned with your goal. See how it all lines up? Hopefully. Okay, second bit is phasing your training. So why have phases at all? I think, again, this is another big gap. I'm only talking about things that are big levers and big gaps in the conversations that I have and the coaching that I do with guys, and trying to get them better at the sports that they want to get better at. If you don't have phases, you just tend to hit plateaus all the time. Honestly, that is what the evidence has shown me. We need to think about things in cycles for lots of different reasons, but let me just highlight one, which is your life goes in cycles, largely speaking. For me, I've got a young family, okay? School holidays are a phase. Christmas is a big phase. Easter, all these things are already cardinal marks in your diary, and you need to slot your training phases in and around your life, which is why you need phases. How long should they be? Different for every person, which is why I think personalization and separately accountability is so important for you as an individual, outside the scope of this, but they should have a duration which you're comfortable with, the smallest of which I would say is 4 weeks, and if your phases are longer than 6 months, I think you've got you're going to have adherence problems. Sticking to that plan is going to be hard over such a long period. Okay, so 3 months, I think, if you've got the discipline and you're on the path and you're taking the right actions, I think is really good and strong. It's going to help you to sprint forwards in good succinct stages. If your life is a bit crazy, like mine can be sometimes, then maybe you need to focus month by month by month by month. This is a muscle building month. Next month is a running month. The following month is a go on holiday and drink and eat month, where we just fall back onto the basics. It's going to be different for everyone, but hopefully that makes sense. Other considerations. Basically, you want to have a very clear cycle through which you're going. Okay, so when you're thinking about phasing and you're thinking about, okay, Nick, does make sense. I'm on this program. I do want to build muscle. It makes sense to me. However, I want to keep my running going and I want to meet those events. You need to think about how your phases are going to interlink with those parts of your life. So the events that you've got planned, and how you need to back off into those events. Obviously, you don't want a massive muscle building phase leading up to a marathon. Yeah. So for me, January, February, March are not, my focus is not on muscle building. Okay. My focus is on running faster. And the other consideration is, and this is stolen from a continuous improvement methodology, which is some of the random other shit that I get up to, we need to have a consolidation phase, and that's why phasing is so important. Otherwise, we tend to push all the way up and then slide all the way down. Push all the way up and slide all the way down. If we know we're in a phase, and that phase is coming to an end, it allows us to have that checks and balances and consolidate, have that wedge, stops us rolling back down the hill. That's why phases are so important. Measuring. Okay, so there are clear dangers to measuring. We can get obsessive over one number, can send us a bit loopy. That's the first problem. The second problem is we myopically focus on one number, then that number actually becomes irrelevant because everything else will be warped and twisted to get that one number right. Okay, so you need to have a little bit of an open mind. Measuring is very important. Those are the dangers. Let's see how we can do it well. So measuring is about progress, really. How do we know we're making progress if we're not measuring? Well, we don't, okay? So we need to think about progression, especially when it comes to building muscle. That's what you're here for. So a definition here, which I'm not going to harp on about too much, which is process of gradually increasing the stress placed on your muscles and body during training. This is essential, okay? You're not going to get the muscle development, the adaptation within your body if you're not increasing the stress you're putting yourself under. Okay, so don't kid yourself. You need to put yourself under stress to grow stronger and become more resilient. So measuring is about defining progress. What to measure? You can measure feelings. Probably not the best thing, okay, especially if you've got a hectic life and there's lots of other things going on. Weight on the bar. Weight on the bar you can measure, which is a very clear measurable number, and I encourage you to think about that. Number of sets and reps as well. So the reason why you might do this over adding weight is because you've got to kind of towards the upper limit of what you're comfortable with, and you want to avoid injury, so you're not going to go super, super heavy. So how then do we measure? Because we've hit a barrier, say, 80 kilos on your squat for 6, 7, 8 reps, and you don't want to go any heavier because you want to put yourself at risk, blah, blah, blah. So what can you do? we can add more reps and you can add more sets. You can measure recovery, how quickly the DOMS, the muscle soreness, which everyone gets, goes away. Okay, that will also be largely including your nutritional component as well. So that can get a little bit fuzzy, but it's a measure. And that's basically, those are the things that we're going to think about. Okay, so focused on muscle and strength training. Is this an afterthought or main event? In other words, like, is your hectic life, work, children, social, whatever it might be, and then a bit of running your current status? Which means adding in a third wheel of muscle building is going to be really tricky, and you're probably not going to prioritize it. So it's about having clear priorities in life. Okay, and what I would encourage you to think about is understanding how you compare these things and get the balance right, because we're all seeking that, and there isn't a silver bullet. However, I would encourage you, if you're here and you're worried about injury and you know you want to build muscle, to think about it as the main event for phases of your year. Okay, which means, okay, the next 3 months I'm focusing on building muscle because I don't have any running events, and I know my running might take a little bit of a back seat. We'll talk more about programming and to ensure that doesn't happen. But however, in terms of the mindset, is this an afterthought? Is this a main event? Let's make it a main event for this phase, muscle building, get the nutrition right, build some muscle. Then the next phase, maybe flip back and you can have that focus. Okay, but without that clear focus, again, progress is very, very difficult or non-existent. Threshold of development. So the importance of this, I cannot emphasize enough, which I think is why it's the last one. Here, that was my plan. So to a certain extent, you have to suffer to succeed. And there are lots of people that will debate this with me and think about the internet and talk about how life can be easy and it shouldn't be that hard. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you want progress and you want to measure something, you're going to have to stress the body, which is a form of suffering. Muscle growth will occur when you hit, you don't hit. You get close to physical failure, okay? Within 3 or 4 or 2 or 1 or 0 reps, okay? Now, let's not get confused. What is physical failure? I'm going to define it for you in this video. And I know we're going a little bit longer than the last couple here, but I think this is really important stuff. So, physical failure, when your muscles are no longer able to contract effectively to complete another repetition. Okay, so within 3 or 4 reps of that is what we would define as pushing towards failure, which ensures we're going into this threshold of development. We ensure we're getting the adaptation. Okay, and again, I see so many guys and girls at the gym getting this wrong. Okay, they're just not working hard enough and not pushing themselves into that threshold. However, there's something called psychological failure, which is why people don't push themselves into that area of physical failure to actually get the muscle development. It's the perceived discomfort, fatigue, or lack of motivation. Okay, so this is the little voice that we've all got that will tell us, oh, you don't need to do an extra rep, you don't need to do that. Yeah, it's tough, we'll just stop here, we won't do that last set. Okay, if you want true development, true success in this field, you need to push yourself to get the adaptation, which means psychological failure is not an option. Okay, and it may take you some time if you're a new lifter, a new person to strength training and muscle building, to move from psychological failure to physical failure. So don't be too harsh on yourself at this point if you're thinking, well, yeah, I'm not really sure. If I'm really honest with myself, I might still be at this, perceived it's a bit tough, or fatigue, or I'm rushing through my routines and I'm not that motivated. I'm missing out sets and reps. Don't worry about it too much. Just know that you want to pass through that with help into physical failure. That's when the gains will come. Stupid quote is weakness leaving the body. Yeah. Okay, a couple of bonus tips then. So, form always wins and always trumps anything else. Okay, so it's not about how many reps you do or how many sets you do. It's about how well you perform every millimeter of each repetition. Okay, make it hard for yourself. Contract as hard as you can. That's how you're going to get the results. Not about the numbers. It's about how hard you're working in that second. Ooh. And this is kind of like what it's about, which is understanding what hard work constitutes. Okay, lots of people, especially like myself, if you've come from an endurance background and a high intensity background, boot camps, etc. Your definition, my definition was of hard work was hearts and lungs working hard in a workout. Okay, that will not help you to build muscle. I'm sorry to break it to you. Okay, what you need to be doing is going slow and controlled, lifting relatively heavy weights. Okay, yes, you can do it with body weight, and I've got some top tips for body weight guys later on in this challenge. However, optimal, lifting heavy weights, slow and controlled to near failure, that 3 to 4, 5 rep range. Okay, physical failure. That's hard work, which means when you're actually doing it, you're not huffing and puffing. The huffing and puffing will come afterwards when your muscles suddenly have a huge oxygen requirement and you get out of breath once you put the weight down. Okay, that's what happens in bodybuilding. And that's the transition you need to make. When you're pumping away, and your heart and lungs are working hard, it's not optimal for that muscle development. Okay, so you need to go slower for that phase and then feel it afterwards. And actually between sets, you want your heart rate to go right down, reset, so you're primed and ready just to focus on the development of the muscle. Okay, most people do the opposite. They just run around the gym doing the HIIT style stuff, even if they think they're weight training. Don't make that mistake. Quick practical example here then. So, what body part are you focusing on in the moment, in the set, in the workout that you're doing? Okay, be very focused. If you're training quads, front of the legs, you're training your quads, that's where you need to feel it. If you're training biceps, that's where you need to feel it. Okay, the whole body complex compound movements are great for general fitness. They're not optimal for muscle building. Okay, and I want to make these clear distinctions. And if you want to challenge me and have that open conversation, then I'm very, very up for it. Body part are you working? Is that working to failure or close to failure, like I've talked about? And is there a measure in place? And how are you integrating that against your whole workout? So if you're working biceps, how is that integrating in with the other workouts? Because you need to be working just more than one muscle group unless you're in the gym 10, 12 times a week. Make sense? Cool. We'll talk more about that integration point. Do not worry. That is all I've got for you, I think. So let's go back to that checklist. 5 steps to the gains. GPS, goal plan system. Phasing your training, absolutely vital. Measuring, how are we going to measure? What measure are we going to put in place? Focus on muscle and strength training, not getting it the wrong way around, depending on the phase that you're in. Threshold of development, the most important thing. Okay, getting into that threshold of adaptation where the muscles will be building. Bonus tips or bonus tips. Cool. Any questions? Let me know. I'm here for you and I will be engaging with you and I will be messaging you within the group as well. So please look at your messages, get back to me. I don't like to be left out in the cold. I will see you on the next one.